Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about Firebase. So what is Firebase? Firebase, to understand Firebase, first we need to understand what, if you want to develop an app or a website, what do you need? What are the important components that you need? Like, first of all, you have a front end for your app, this user interface that you will click and some operation will be performed, or your website, whatever. And then you have a backend for it. In the backend, what do you need? In backend, you need some way to handle or some way to save your files or photos or videos or whatever. You need a database, and then you might need some let's say cloud hosting, some hosting services, or you need maybe some encryption uh, algorithms or something, some implementation of the encryption for the data transfer, or you might need some predictive or analytic features. Of course, maybe you need some authentication also. Of course, you need authentication. This is also very important. And of course, for all that, you need an infrastructure, you need hardware, you need to develop software and everything. For the backend, you need to develop the APIs that are going to communicate between the software and between the backend and the front end. So all this is a very cumbersome process and time-consuming process. So it needs a lot of effort. If you are one person, it might take a lot of time as well. If you're a lot of people, it might take less time, but a lot of effort, because of course there are more people working, so you have to pay more, so it will be expensive and everything. So for that, different companies like Google and Amazon and Microsoft and some other smaller companies have come up with ready-made backend solutions or some cloud services, which you have all these resources like storage, analytics, machine learning, authentication, hosting, database, performance monitoring, whatever, everything, and you kind of can configure and connect them together, and then use them to kind of do some programming stuff, and then you can use that as a backend for your for your application, for your web app or your mobile app. So Firebase is one such service. It is which is developed by Google. So it is used to build apps faster, of course, because you have a ready-made backend, and you can simply just use this ready-made backend. There are these are connected services. This storage, hosting, authentication, and machine learning, analytics, everything. All these services are connected. You don't need to do much configuration. Also, it's like a ready-made backend for you. So you can say that your app, you don't have any server. You have this ready-made backend as a service. So it's kind of a serverless app where you are using up the Firebase service as your backend. So it's called backend as a service. It is developed or built and supported by Google. So of course Google is it's using the Google infrastructure, so um, it's safe, reliable, and it's going to stay for long, hopefully. So what are the different features of Firebase? Well, it provides you a complete backend solution for your apps, of course. So, and first most important feature is authentication. You will be able to authenticate your users in a very simple way and in a very secure way. Then it provides you a real-time database. One thing to be mentioned here: the database in Firebase is NoSQL database or NoSQL database. It means that it's not that traditional database, this relation database model, in which you have these tables and rows, and you have tables connected with each other through through keys. Uh, so this is a more general purpose kind of a database where you can store data in the form of key value pairs, and there's not So there is no this traditional table structure in NoSQL database and those strong connections or relationships between the tables. So NoSQL is more like, you have a lot of variety of data models in NoSQL databases to store, for example, data in the form of documents, in the form of graphs, in the form of columns also, and in the form of key value pairs. So you have different kind of data models in NoSQL. uh, Firebase is only using NoSQL databases, so it's not using SQL databases. So you have to understand your app requirements. If your app requires such kind of databases where you want to have some tabular structure, and you want to have row and columns, and you want to have relations between those tables, then you cannot use Firebase, of course. Then you should use some other cloud platforms like AWS, or whatever, because AWS, for example, provides both NoSQL and SQL database support. So the next feature of Firebase is machine learning. So you can have all those machine learning element support. In Firebase, you have this cloud messaging support, you have the notification support. Of course, it provides also hosting and cloud storage to store files, photos, whatever, and it also makes it easy for the developers to distribute their apps to the users. And of course, then you have Google Analytics uh, and many other such things. They are all connected together, combined in a bundle, so that you don't need to configure them and kind of uh, do this difficult configuration to set this up for you. Just it's all connected together for you in a package, and you can just simply use it. uh, Another important feature of Firebase is its awesome pricing structure. It has a free Spark plan where you have, all the basic, uh, requirements that your app needs from the backend. In a Spark plan, it's totally free for you. And of course, if you uh, get a lot of users, like 300,000 users, then you can kind of pay for extra services and extra storage or bandwidth or whatever you need, and then kind of you know grow your app or grow your business. Of course, if you will have so many users, hundreds of thousands of users, then you will have enough money to pay for the pricing of Firebase. It's not very expensive, but this free Spark plan should be enough for you to kind of, if you are a startup, or you are developing your first app or something, or first few apps or something, you are just trying and testing and seeing if something will work, then you can use simply this free Spark plan. But I think this pricing plan of Firebase is one of the biggest edge that it has over the other competitors or other cloud services available in the market. To check out the pricing plans of Firebase, you can simply go to the Firebase website, firebase.google.com, and here you can click on pricing, and then you will see here you have those pricing plans. This is free Spark plan, which is, as I said, it is a very generous plan for the startups and people who are starting to develop business apps for them. And you see you have this testing, analytics, distribution, and indexing, app distribution indexing free here. Then you have, authentication is here, 10K per month, are free for you. Then cloud file store, of course, 1 GB total store data. You see this network, and whatever this. And if you go down, you see, and for the paid plan, you have these prices. And there are also not a lot of prices. Of course, if you have more users, you can afford to easily pay for that. But actually, as far as your app is not really growing big, it doesn't have a big user base, then you don't need this paid pricing. So this paid pricing plan is called Blaze plan. As I said, the free one is the Spark plan, and then you can go here and see the pricing for anything you want. Hosting, for example, I saw this much prices and whatever. Okay, uh, so that's it. So let's see what are the competitors of Firebase now. So these are some of the competitors of Firebase in the market. You see this Microsoft Azure Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Amazon Cloud. Uh, of course, you have to kind of know what you really need. For example, uh, as far as I'm concerned, I will prefer Firebase Cloud compared to Firebase Cloud because I uh, normally will like to make a small app or something that I would say that, or small startup that I would say that maybe it could work and get attract a lot of users, thousands and hundreds of thousands of users. And before I reach that, I can use is this free Spark pricing plan of Firebase. I can't do that, for example, in the Amazon cloud. In Amazon cloud, you have this 12 months free, and then you have to pay for all the services that you are using. uh, so it doesn't matter you have really grown or not. So this is one of the reasons that I use Firebase. Secondly, in Amazon, or for example in other clouds, I need to do a lot of configuration to kind of connect all those services together. But in Firebase, I don't need that. Firebase provides me a simple, almost connected services backend, and I can simply use that without doing this hefty configurations as in other clouds. One other kind of you can say disadvantage or limitation of Firebase is that you only have a backend as a service. You can't use software tools, you can't use platforms. Like, for example, if you want to have Linux or something, or you want to use that, and you want to kind of being able to access your Linux environment from anywhere in the world, you can, for example, go in any of these clouds, for example Amazon cloud, and buy a Linux platform service, and use that. But in Firebase, you can't do that. It's purely more for the application backend, and of course, you cannot use any software tools. Also, you cannot pay for software tools which have licenses, for example. So you can't do that in Firebase. Um, second, one more. Secondly, one more advantage, or you can say, of these clouds is that they are, of course, when you can configure everything according to your needs, or you have a lot more. Then you have a lot more flexibility. In Firebase, you don't have that much flexibility, of course, because everything is already connected for you. But it's, as I said, it depends on what you need. If you want to use something simple, something already configured or connected for you, and it's is simple, easy to use, kind of uh, services, just connecting your app to the backend, and you're ready to go, then I would choose Firebase. But if you need much more, for example, big companies, they need much more than Firebase offers. All they need much bigger, maybe storage. They need maybe platforms. They need maybe software tools and everything. Uh, then of course Firebase cannot meet such needs. Then you need any of these cloud services. Yeah, that's it.